Hi everybody and welcome back again to this course on LinkedIn. Now in this lecture we're going to be covering the topic of our profile, but more importantly we're going to cover some of the aspects that are going to be vitally important to your profile standing out amongst your peers. Now there's three things that we need to think about when we're creating a LinkedIn profile. One is obviously search engine optimization. Unfortunately, we live in a world where basically keywords dominate this. So we need to think about search engine optimization and using specific keywords that are going to allow people to actually find our profile, number one. Number two is we need to think about return on investment. Now, this may be quite an alien topic to yourselves, but it's more about your bragging of yourself. Okay, so why do you stand out in comparison to everybody else that does the same job as you do? Now, it doesn't have to be that you've won awards. It doesn't have to be that you have to, have a doctorate within your specific subject. It can be very vital things like loyalty. It could be length of service. It could be specific client accounts that you've got. Now, we're not talking about recommendations or skills that people have prompted onto your LinkedIn profile yet. We're talking about things that not everybody knows about you that you can brag about within your profile, so that when a client, i.e. a potential employer or a potential consultancy opportunity comes along and has a look at your profile and finds your profile, they can instantly see how you can add value to their organization. Now, this can be done in a number of ways, but the third thing that we're going to be talking about is the most important thing amongst everything, and that's storytelling. Now, if you've ever learnt anything about writing a book or about blogging or about online writing, it's grabbing people's attention is probably the most important thing that you can do. Now, you can do that with, as we've discussed before, with your imagery. That may get people's attention for a couple of seconds to click into your profile, but then we need them to actually read through your profile. Now, if all you've got in there is keywords, to get your profile found, then of course people aren't going to stay there to actually read through it. They're going to see lots of gobbledygook keywords in your profile which isn't going to make much sense, and therefore they're probably going to move on to somebody else's profile relatively quickly. So to keep them there, we need to do storytelling. Now, good storytelling is a vital skill that anybody that works in the online marketplace needs to master. It's not hard. It's just telling your story from start to finish. But when we're telling your story, we need to interject into that story some information which will get pulled through in terms of keywords. So the first thing we're going to do to get started is do a little bit of research. Now, by a bit of research, because we're looking at Roger Smith's profile here and he's a logistics manager, what I would suggest you do is go onto a website. Indeed, I find quite good because it pulls lots of information. It's basically the online recruitment version of Google. They've been around quite a while now, and one of the best things that they started off doing very, very early on was make their website as search engine optimization friendly as they possibly could. And they really want to become the Google of the online job world, and they're starting to make real waves. So if you go on to Indeed, do a quick search for the type of role that you currently hold or the type of role you want to hold, and then we can look at the job adverts that are within there. Now, instantly, first thing you're going to find is you're going to find the types of company names that we need to be mentioning in our profile. Now, here's a good one, Amazon.co.uk. Now, Amazon, pretty much one of the kings of logistics globally at this present time. So it would be really helpful if somehow we can squeeze in Amazon.co.uk into our profile. Now, it could be that you've had dealings with Amazon before. It might be that you've never ever dealt with Amazon, but if you could pop into your profile, Amazon is one of the most respected companies that I've always wanted to work for or wanted to have dealings with, or aspire to be as good at logistics as Amazon. As part of your storytelling, of course, you're getting those keywords into your profile without them misleading people in respective. We're not saying that you've worked there, but what we are doing is we're raising your profile up in terms of keywords. Now, as well as company names, we can also use specific topics within logistics. Now, you may find those within the actual adverts themselves. So if we go into an advert right now, this will take us straight to Amazon's webpage. Again, another good thing that Indeed does is it actually directly links to companies' careers pages. So again, if you are looking for a job, Indeed is probably one of the better search engines I would recommend going over to. So if we look down here, we can see, buzzwords in here like, operating model. That might be something which people search for. Frontline operations. Again, another line that you might want to add into your profile. I have experience in frontline operations, or I want to gain experience within frontline operations. However you term it within your profile is not exactly the most important part. It's just that when we read through your profile, it needs to tell a story about you. Now, as well as getting keywords in there, we also need to think about the return on investment, as I said, that you're going to offer the organisation should they hire you or take you on as a contractor. So think about things that you've achieved throughout your career. Now, this could be that you have stayed with the business for a long time, through hard times and good times. It could be your dedication to your companies that you've worked for. It could be that you've overachieved on a target. Whatever it is, try and think and write down as many of these things that you believe that you've achieved during your career and get them in your profile, because if you don't tell people on your profile why you're good for them, they're not going to know. And remember, the whole point of a LinkedIn profile is to get them to talk to you, okay? And the reason they're going to talk to you is if they believe that you can add value to their organization. So again, when we go into editing our profile, we really want to be thinking about all of those key areas, and again, telling a story as we go through. That way we'll really fill out our profile with information that people want to read through, and also things that are going to attract people's attention and again increase your contacts. So we're moving into the next lecture now. So again, try that out. By all means, if you want to forward over to me some examples of your profiles that you've created for me to have a look over and obviously critique and see whether I can add any value to them before you actually make them go live, then by all means do that. And again, remember, do this offline. Do this in a word processing application first before you add it into your actual profile, because again, you don't want to have to keep changing it, because unless you've changed the settings, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, then everybody will be seeing those changes as you make them. So let's get that profile written offline at the moment. Send it over to me if you want me to critique it. If not, get it up on your profile and let's see how it works.